you're in the house, make yourself a brew. We've got up to an hour podcast for you today, talking about everything in the past 6 weeks. We've got 7 first-team games to get through, 2 under-23 standout results, Paul Dummett's contract extension, Bob Moncur leaving the board, Jermaine Janus's comments, away fans being kept up at level 7, Jamal Lascelles and Jonjo Shelvey being overlooked by England, and also Islam Somani's injury nightmare. Today's podcast we are joined by Clayton Ford. Ford have mercy, as some of you may better know on YouTube. He's a well-respected media journalist and will be on today's podcast alongside James Sharkey, who is presenter of Newcastle Fans TV and also has his own YouTube channel, 100% NUFC. Hi everyone, welcome to Newcastle Fans TV. So you've seen on the intros there, I'm joined by 2 fellow YouTubers, Ford have mercy. Fordey, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I've been better, mate. You know, just having the news about the Everton game being, rescheduled to the Monday, it's just really annoyed me. But it's one of those things, really, isn't it?
Yeah, not much we can do, innit? And Sharky, fellow presenter of Newcastle Fans TV, how are you doing?
Yeah, mate, not too bad. It's been a while. No games of late, too many breaks, but I'm fine.
Let's crack in straight into it. This is going to be over a 6-week period, this podcast. We've had a couple of podcasts on the show in the last 6 weeks, but the big ones we like to talk about in depth, about a few games and a few bits and bobs of news. We're going to jump straight on it. We're going to take you all the way back to deadline day, where we'll play Burnley at night time, all the way to current, where we are at the moment with Newcastle. Let's go all the way back. Let's ask Fordey. Fordey, you remember we played Burnley. Lascelles scored. Kennedy's debut hit the post. We played well. Shouldn't have drew that, should we? We should have got 3 points, shouldn't we?
So many chances to win the game, and it just shows that, you know, we needed to be a bit more clinical. As Kennedy's first game, we contributed well, get the post and obviously set up a goal. But again, it's just another game where we've either lost points, dropped points, or lost the game. So all in all, even though we got a point against a very good Burnley team, it really felt like a bit of a letdown in that game.
Yeah, I was really disappointed myself. Sharky, we were talking straight after the game, doing our bits and bobs for the channel. It reminded me of like the Everton game where we dominated, but we didn't go on and score. And Burnley somehow nicked a point. And I thought Burnley didn't deserve that, you know. Disappointing. We were quite deflated. The home form was poor as well. Do you reckon Carl Dollar was at fault for the Sam Vokes goal?
Yeah, it was an absolute comedy show. But then again, you look at the back four. You know, we should be doing a lot better. We should be able to see out a game. You know, we're 1-0 up. I mean, you can look back at the start of the game. You know, when Hoslu missed that pen, and then obviously you missed a sitter. I think in the Premier League, you've got to be a bit more ruthless. You know, you've got to take your opportunities when you get them. You know, you don't get too many. And Burnley, with their experience, you know, they're in the top 7 at the time. Okay, they've been on that really bad run of form, but they've got that know-how. You know, they're not to pick up points, and you know, we've paid the price really at the end. And Burnley have walked away with a point, and you know, really we should have had all 3.
No, I'd have to agree. And then that was on the Wednesday night. We signed obviously Dubravka, which we'll talk about him on the Man United game. Of course, we will. And we'll sign Slimani, more on him later in this podcast. So we'll move off that. That was on the midweek. And then we had the away fixture on, it was Super Sunday, wasn't it, at Palace? And I don't know how we got a point. This one, I thought this was a point game because I thought Palace were much the better side, dominated. And it was probably a reverse that on Wednesday night we were dominant against Burnley. And this was like flipped. It was Palace who were probably the better side. You know, Hoslu fell ill before the game. For me, Dwight Gill was nowhere returning back to Selhurst Park, and you'd probably say it was a harsh penalty with Clark, but just touching on that, 40, how many do you see them week in, week out in the Premier League, players pulling on shirts?
I know, it's just such a soft penalty. I mean, talking about the game as a whole, I think the footballing gods kind of equaled itself out, really. When we talked about the Burnley game, he was lucky to lose points, but in that one, as you said before, he was lucky to get a point, so it kind of equaled itself in that instance. But getting back to the Kieran Clark penalty, I mean, it's so soft. It's unbelievable. I mean, yeah, they was dominant, especially in the second half. They really came out to play against us, and we was lucky not to even not lose the game. But to lose a goal and end up losing 2 points because of that penalty is just so ridiculous.
And then it was only about 10 minutes later, Shelby done exactly the same thing and got away with it.
Exactly. So again, it's just all down to kind of, you know, the whole equal opportunities and all the rest of it, that sort of stuff, and making sure that things are consistent. But then again, you're going on, you could be talking about then, and that's a whole another podcast in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, you're giving us an idea for the summer, aren't you? Right. So then, what was your thoughts on that? Mo Diarmi scored from the corner where he prodded home unmarked. Obviously, his form had picked up big time, but do you think that was a point gained?
Yeah, on the whole complexion of the game, it was a game of two halves. Newcastle had the first half, we dominated, we took the game to them, but we didn't show the same intensity second half. And it's all ifs and buts. But if I don't really want to blame Kennedy, but if he'd squared that across to where Perez, if he puts it in, but it's 2-0, it could be a completely different half. But then obviously the minute Crystal Palace got that penalty in, there was 1-1. There was only one team that looked like they were going to win it. It was them. We kind of dropped all tempo. And overall, I think I'm grateful for the point.
Yeah, I think it's important that we didn't lose it though, because that's against the relegation side, and we've been doing well against teams that are amongst us as well. That's where the majority of our points have picked up. So, okay, so we've got a point, I was picking up Kennedy wasn't doing much 90 minutes here, and we'll talk a little bit about that further on. But, we had a week off, and we came up, everyone was fearing the Man United game that was approaching. They're going to smash us 4-5. We're not playing well. Our home form is absolutely shocking at the moment. Fordey, I mean, there's so many positives to come out of this. You talk about the crowd with the 12th man. Shelby and Diarmi were absolutely outstanding. I mean, Paul Pogba, where the hell was he? Dubravka, we had a chat. You mean you, Fordey, on? Go on, Fordey.
No, I was gonna say he's still gone missing, isn't he? Like he went off sulking. That picture went viral of him on the bench, just like literally inside of flipping Mo Diarmi's pocket. It's unreal. Mo Diarmi had the game of his life. Turned into Patrick Vieira reincarnated. I mean, everyone just come out of like 8, 9 out of 10s, maybe even 10 out of 10s. As you said, Shelby and Diarmi bossed the midfields. Gale, you had him running the channels and running like a headless chicken. Dubravka had the game of his life. Like everything went spot on. And those are the sort of games that you live for. I wasn't even at the game, but I just heard from people at the game that it was rocking, that the stadium was literally rocking. And those are the games that you kind of want to see all the time. Obviously, we don't get treated to them all the time, but once they do come around, you have to really and truly appreciate them, especially as a Newcastle United fan.
Absolutely unreal, that win. I mean, the home form was really poor. Sharky, you've hammered that numerous of times, that the home form's been really poor, and we got that win. It was a great win. And where did that come from? How the hell? Where's that been?
It was great, great team spirit. Everybody was pulling together. You go on about the 12th man, and that's what led to the team playing so well against a really good Man United team. Okay, the form has been a bit hit and miss, but we made their best players look average. And you say Mo Diarmi, had Paul Pogba in his back pocket, but I think overall everybody to a man was just fantastic over the whole game. And we really made Man United have to work for every opportunity, and we really defended resiliently. And I think it just took that little bit of confidence, from the Man United game to kick on the season. And I think Man United, Mourinho hasn't won at St James's Park, I believe. He still hasn't won.
No, right. Yeah.
I just think Dubravka was talking about how I was disappointed not to see him against Crystal Palace, and just had a funny feeling that he would, that he would have a good debut. And it's very risky to put him in there. 52,000 fans against a Man United squad full of quality, and if it was to go wrong, the fans like Matt Sells could have got on his back. But he was fantastic. His distribution was brilliant. His kicking was fantastic. He was commanding. He was shouting, and we've not had that. Carl Darlow, not a lot with Rob Elliott either. And he just brings something different. Everybody was on it, and if you want to beat the top 6 clubs, you've got to be on it, and that's what happened on that Sunday.
It was a great display by Dubravka, and I've chatted to both of you individually about Dubravka when he first come in. I was adamant. I'm going to hold my hands up and say, nah, he's third choice. He will be third choice. He's only coming to allow Fred Woodman to go out to Aberdeen. And
what were you thinking, man? Seriously,
I knew you would pipe up.
Nah, I had to. You had me biting up there. What did you think Rafa Benitez was going to bring him in for third choice? Come on now.
I honestly thought it was his third choice goalkeeper, because he didn't play against Palace, and I WhatsApped you phone and said, I told you he wouldn't play. And I tell you what, that he's proved me wrong, but that is some decision, massive call, and put him in against Manchester United. Just totally shocked everybody. Were you two both shocked?
Not really, if I'm really honest, because he had to play sometime, and we needed to get the best out of him anyway. He's only on loan at the moment, so we needed to get the best out of him. And obviously we can argue that with Slimani as well. But Rafa's been saying it for the longest time now, that he wants a goalkeeper that can not only, command the defence, but also can be a ball-playing goalkeeper as well, like a sweeper keeper. And he's like that as well. He's always coming out. He's always talking to the defence. And that's something that I must admit Carl Darlow and Rob Elliott lacks. Sometimes I watch not just obviously the play, but some of the players on the pitch. And often or not, I see John Joe Shelby shouting and screaming at Carl Darlow, maybe he's not making the right decisions and all the rest of it. Now, I don't really see that with Dubravka. I don't really see that. And he's always, looking who to play in. He's quick off his line, and he's not made any stupid mistakes. Touch wood, he obviously doesn't, because he's still got to impress. But he's really, really impressing a lot of us, and a lot of people, a lot of Newcastle fans are calling for him to make it a permanent signing sooner rather than later.
It will do that permanent sign. So I'll hold my hands up, Sharky, do you know, nice to see Matt Ritchie score, because he's had a lot of stick as well this season. And over that weekend, results went our way. Bad time for a break, do you think?
Yeah, it really was, because the minute you win a game in the Premier League, you've got that confidence instilled in you, and you're going to move on, and you want the next game to come very quick. And it's just the way it's fallen, unfortunately, for but it's been like that most of the season. And Newcastle win a game, and then all of a sudden there's a break on. I don't know what it is really, but it was a massive win, and it was a brilliant goal by Matt Ritchie. The build-up play and the finish was just fantastic. That goal there alone deserves to win, a Premier League game against a top 6 club. And Man United didn't know I hit them. The minute Matt Ritchie put that in.
Yeah, and a bad time to have a break, and results went our way. Again, loads of times results have gone our way. I think we've been quite fortunate. So after that, we had a two-week gap, but in between there, local lad Paul Dummett signed a contract extension. And do you know what it is? I'm going to put my hands up once more and say I am wrong about Paul Dummett. He has proved me, and probably a lot of people, and probably used to as well, massively wrong. Since he's come back into that side, him and Lascelles have been absolutely a colossus, the pair of them. I don't know what it is about Paul Dummett. Maybe it's Rafa Benitez has worked on him. Obviously, he's declined the Wales call-up. He doesn't want to focus on Wales. And funny enough, he's still eligible for England, believe it or not. So, has Paul Dummett changed your opinion, Fordey, of what you think of him?
A little bit, yeah. He's always been that steady Eddie, and you know what? As much as I don't want to do this, but seeing Manquillo play made me appreciate Paul Dummett a lot more. The pains that I see. I've even expressed it on social media. I don't think he was our first choice in terms of left back. We was linked with a lot of left backs, so we ended up getting Manquillo in, and seeing Manquillo playing the unnerviness that he gave me. I was like, please welcome back Paul Dummett, and Paul Dummett has gone above and beyond what I thought he would do. Again, he's the only thing that he lacks is obviously going forward. He's not the best going forward, but defensively, he can't really put a foot wrong for me. And obviously, him getting a new contract is just rewarding. And it's nice to see, from your guys' point of view, more than mine, that a homegrown player playing for the black and white shirt, and someone who's come from the youth ranks as well, because obviously you guys are born and bred Geordies as well. So it's just nice that we've got someone like that who's come through and shows a good example that what can happen if, play well.
Work hard.
Yeah, and get your head down.
Sharky, what do you think of Paul Dummett? Because the last 4 months he's been absolutely unreal, hasn't he?
I've always rated the lad. He's a local lad. He plays with his heart on his sleeve, and I've always believed that he's got potential. He just needs the right manager to work with him. And Rafa Benitez for me is the perfect manager, and he's getting the best out of Paul Dummett. He gets a lot of unfair criticism. He did it first because he doesn't get forward too much as a left back, but that's his job, is to get forward so much, and then maybe to allow the midfield to bomb on, or the wingers just to create a bit more going forward. But he's very good at putting his body on the line. You've seen that in numerous games this season. He can play him at centre back. He can play him at left back. He can multiply between different areas of the pitch. And Paul Dummett, he doesn't seem this season to be putting much wrong in terms of a bad performance, and that's why Rafa Benitez has confidence in him, and that's why he's deserved his contract, because he's really, really pushed on, and that's what we expect as fans, that players kick on with better managers, and that they really do stamp their authority on the pitch. And each game by game he seems to be getting better and better and better. And even though he has signed the contract, I just pray and hope that other clubs don't come in from.
Yeah, it's mad how he's changed everyone's thoughts, isn't it? Right, we're going to come off Paul Dummett. Let us know what you lot think if you are watching on YouTube in the comments box about Dummett. Moving to the under-23s there quickly. Me and Sharky obviously cover them quite a bit. We've made it into the Northumberland Senior Cup, beating Newcastle Benfield 3-0, and we'll face Morpeth Town. Carl Roberts got a double in that game. I think Sangaria scored the other one as well. But the under-23s, I'll come to Sharky on this. We're struggling in the league. We done a video last night on the under-23s as well. It's nice to see we're actually getting it in the final, though, isn't it?
It is, but in terms of the league performance, it's not good enough. We're second bottom of Premier League 2, Division 2. Last season, we were one game away from going to Premier League One, playing some of the better clubs, with better players. And it just goes to show, if you take away some of better fringe players out on loan this season, the likes of Adam Armstrong, that, we are so far away from, seeing future stars come through. And, for a football club like Newcastle, we want to see local heroes, and we don't seem to see enough of that at this football club. Obviously, there's something deeply wrong inside the club, from back to front, forward to back, whichever you want to look at it. And it's just, with the Peter Beattie situation as well, that's not helping matters either. The players have just lost confidence. They're underestimating the oppositions that they're playing. The challenge situation in terms of how the squad, communicate on the pitch, that's not doing so good. Yes, they're doing all right, at cup level and stuff, but, if they perform like they are in the league, in the cup final, then, we're probably going to lose them. I hope we can win them, but, for sure, that attitude that we're showing the cups in the final, it's like a lottery, really, isn't it, for who you play?
Yeah, it is. Fordey, what's your thoughts looking from, because obviously you're based over Manchester, what's your thoughts on Newcastle's youth setup at the moment? I know we're doing well in the cups. Because we've never really heard from you about the youth setup at the Toon. What do you think of it?
It needs to change, but I think that's all dependent on whether Rafa stays or not. I've seen some bits and pieces in the Chronicle this week, in fact, about Rafa talking about the youth setup and obviously how he wants to improve that. But his main priority obviously is the first team. But yeah, it needs to change, and obviously matters haven't been helped obviously with the whole Peter Beardsley thing, which obviously we probably won't get into. But yeah, it needs to improve, because again, my main gripe about the youth setup last year was obviously when Lewis Gibson left, and obviously that he was the most promising person, bar probably Paul Dummett, Adam Armstrong, to come out of the youth team in a long, long while. And the fact that he's chosen to go to Everton because, again, he thinks that he can progress there better is a bit of a wake-up call. Because, again, even in my workplace, I often talk about the North East football being a hotbed of young talent, and in the past years it has been. But recently now, especially from Newcastle's point of view, it's been lacking. Not many people make it through to the first team. I think that's a bit of a worry, really.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And we're probably going to look at the under-23s over the summer, the ones who are out on loan. Their futures as well have to be resolved as well. We'll talk about more of the under-23s later when we talk about the Sunderland game. Now, we obviously came back round after the 2-week gap after Manchester United. We wanted a game quickly. And, the Bournemouth away fixture, yes, we're through with 2-0 lead, which is really disappointing. I was more knocked at the beginning anyways that Slimani was still ruled out for another 2 more weeks. We went 2-0 up. Gale got a double. Nice couple of tap-ins, but you've got to be there to score them. However, we collapsed. 40. What the hell went wrong there?
Oh, my God. I was so irate. Seriously, I was watching at work thinking, yep, 2-0 up against Bournemouth. I think we'd have been up to 13th, maybe. Or not even higher than that. I think 10th at the time.
Yeah, 10th.
Back of the Man United win. And then we literally just collapsed. And obviously, John Joe Shelby got dug out by Frank Lampard on Match of the Day, and apparently he had a knee injury, so that's the reason why he had his hands over his knees. But seriously though, why? How did we collapse? How did we give up a 2-0 lead? That's the reason why. Even if we do go 2-0 up, I'm not completely convinced, because we'll go up 2-0 up, and then for some reason in the final 20 minutes, if we're ahead, that's it. We think we've won the game, and we've lost so many points. I mean, there's got to be some sort of crazy stat out there where someone totaled the amount of games that we've either lost or drawn after going 1-0 or 2-0 up. It's crazy the amount of points that we could have been had.
Yeah, it is disappointing that we're not for me, Sharky, I thought that Shelby chance. I know some people might say that Perez one way prodded it over the bar, but I think where Atsu's bursting the gut and he squares it and Shelby blazes it over, I think if that goes in, he's got to score it first of all. If that goes in, game over, 3-0. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In football, there's fine margins, and when you go away from home, you're only going to have what you can get. And when you play away from home, you get limited opportunities anyway. But Newcastle seem to have a lot more of the play down there, and once you take the lead 2-0 and you think, right, okay, Shelby just put it in, it's 3-0, it's game over. Bournemouth haven't really got a chance of getting into it, but it was a massive turning point. I know there was a lot of talk that Shelby had an injury, but then you look at Rafa Benitez and you think that's bad, management. You think, well, if he's injured, he's got to go off the pitch. If he goes off the pitch, he brings someone else on, then potentially Bournemouth don't get that first one. But then the minute, we missed that, Bournemouth obviously ran up the pitch and scored, didn't they? And obviously they wants to pull one back. There's always a hint that they're going to go on and get, the draw which they got.
It was disappointing. What's your thoughts, Fordey, on now I don't normally criticise Rafa. It's very rare I do, but I thought your substitutions were wrong. You know, you took off Gale, he brought on midfielder, and you did have Hoslu on the bench just to hold it up. But what was even more surprising was Richie came off and you brought in Javier Manquillo to play at right midfield. I mean, what was going on? What was Rafa thinking?
Yeah, I think that was the substitution that hurt the most. I think he went too negative too soon. And I think he still had Marino on the bench, didn't he?
Yeah, and Hayden.
Yeah, he's still Marino and Hayden as well on the bench at the time. But bringing on Manquillo, he's like he's trying to shore up the shop way too early. And I think that's around about 70th minute mark or whatnot. So again, they still obviously gave them an opportunity to kind of get back into the game. And us sitting back for 20 odd minutes or so is just not going to work. But going back to that Shelby chance, in his favour, I do still think that Atsu could have played it a little bit earlier just to give him a clear sight and goal. That's my opinion anyway. Like obviously Shelby should have scored, don't get me wrong, but I think the second that he took too late was kind of wasn't working to our favour.
Goes back to, was Shelby injured when he took that chance, and should he been kept on the pitch and all of that kind of stuff as well, which is another question that we need to ask as well. So disappointing, you know, we took 2 points away, but on the positive, again, results were still going Newcastle's way. We're starting to build up a nice little run. I think was at this point, it was only like 1 defeat in 8, I think it is around about this time. Going to Anfield the following week, it's difficult, don't get me wrong. You talk about, before we get into the game, how good is Mo Salah, Sharkey?
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, for me, he's player of the season, in my opinion. You know, the lad's just full of confidence. He plays with a team full of flair. You know, he could just do the impossible when you see him in the box. You know, you can twist, you can turn, you can take on about 3 centre backs and it looks all stupid. And just some of the goals that he scores, man, it's breathtaking to watch. And Liverpool have got themselves a quality player there.
Are we just going into Redmen TV or something? What's going on? What are we picking him up for?
Big shout out to Paul and Chris, right? No, because Salah obviously scored. That's the reason why I'm bringing it up. And, you know, Mane scored a nice goal later on. What surprised me, Fordey, begin with right at the beginning, you went 5 at the back. Kennedy switched to left wing back. Paul Dummett went to left centre back. And to credit Paul Dummett, I thought he actually had a good game, actually. But again, Rafa against the big sides doesn't risk 4 at the back. Do you think that's a concern? Is he worried?
No, I think that's the right way to go about it. I think we did something similar against Man City, and it was only 3-1. So again, if we're going to lose, then again, at least lose by a small margin, because again, that could all come into play later on throughout the season. So Rafa definitely did the right thing. I don't think we've got the players or the capability or the know-how at the moment to risk it with 4 at the back. I think it's just leaving us too far open. In fact, I probably would go even a little bit more defensive and probably just try and catch teams like that on the counter-attack, because you're playing like against the likes of Liverpool and Man City. Those 2 teams just stick out of my mind. And you've got the likes of Salah, who scored 30-odd goals already this season, probably more than most teams combined. You have to go ultra defensive. I'm sorry, but you have to.
Interesting. Now, I only ever had really that Diarmi chance towards the end of the first half that I recall off the top of your head. Sharky, do you think it was positive by Rafa, or do you think it was negative once more?
I think it was negative. I think you've got to go for it. I mean, yes, it's Liverpool, but you know, our obviously we're conceding loads of goals if we're actually going to go for it and score a couple. You know, I don't know. You know, you say it's a free hit, really. You know, we're not expecting to get anything, but we have got potential of scoring goals. We really have. You know, we can't take it to bigger teams. If we can beat Man United 1-0, I know it's at Anfield, and if we were to score the first goal and you silence the crowd, then you just never know. It's from what I watched, it was a very dull and boring game because it was just all Liverpool because of the way we just sat back and allowed Liverpool to come on to win. I think that's very dangerous, you know, with their threat. But I just think at the same time, if we're just showed a bit more positivity going forward, who knows? I mean, I've seen teams go to Anfield this season and they've shocked them. You know, I've seen teams go to Man City and somehow get a draw, and it's happened. And
yeah,
I think it's just a little bit too negative by Rafa, but at the same time, I can understand, try and, because a goal difference at the end of the season, that's going to come to a massive, hopefully, big favour to us, if we're still.
It is. So both of you disagree with one another, and I like it. Let us know what you lot think if you're watching on YouTube. Fordey thinks it's right. Sharky thinks it's wrong. However, goal difference is...
You guys knows who to agree with. Come on now.
Obviously, Liverpool dominated the game. We're not going to dispute that. They deserved the win. We were pretty poor, to be fair. Let's knock it on its head. We had Liverpool out the way. Not a massive hit on the goal difference. You're talking about goal difference, Sharky, you know. We're right up there and it could actually keep us up this season as well. So maybe Fordey's right, maybe Sharky's right. Have a little go, show a little bit of ambition. I'm probably borderline between the two years. I want to see my team attack, but also I can understand that as well. Right. So after that, you know, shortly on the Monday, me and Fordey done a video about Bob Moncur leaving. Obviously, he got a little bit upset with me. No, I'll not go into detail about that. Bob Moncur leaving the board, Fordey, we'll come back to you in a second. Sharky, what's your thoughts on actually Bob Moncur being on the board? What's his role entails? Is it much difference to Rafa Benitez?
Well, I don't think we hear much from him these days. You know, he's more ambassador, really, when you think about it. You know, you tend to see him a lot more on the stadium tours than you actually do board level. It didn't really come to a shock, if I'm honest with you, because of the reason not hear much from him. But you know, he'll always be a club legend. He'll always be, you know, part of this club. You know, part of the history. And maybe you know, Rafa Benitez wants a bit more of a shake-up, you know, between now and the end of the season, because we all know that the summer's going to be massive. You know, hoping that we stay up, or whether if we go down either way, it's going to be a massive summer. And maybe you know, Rafa Benitez doesn't see Bob Moncur's maybe as a future of the board. You know, obviously he's going to be working with Lee Charnley. Then again, he's as much use as a glass hammer these days because you don't see much of him. And if he does, he somehow knows the player that we're signing him, even though he has no idea about anything to do with our club. But I don't know. It didn't really come too much of a shock to me, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Fordey, we've talked about this. Just echo what you were saying when we done that video. What's your thoughts on Moncur leaving the board?
It's the same thing, really, like I said before. It's all part of the shake-up, the main shake-up that obviously took part in the summer. We got rid of Graham Carr, and obviously Rafa was then allowed to kind of make his own decision in terms of transfers. And then obviously Bobby Moncur's his role kind of became not derelict, but just he's obviously got other roles. He's got another position obviously within the foundation, so he's not doing nothing at all. But in terms of Rafa's whole ethos and what he wants to do, I don't think his part was there to be played any longer. So it's no real shock to me, as I said before. But you know, still a club legend. If he was to ever kind of bring that role back into play, I think it would work out a lot differently in terms of power and say so and what they can bring to the club. Because I think in terms of having a setup before, it was more of a 4-man panel, wasn't it, with Stephen Claren and obviously Graham Carr and stuff like that. But now I think as things go on, I don't think they would have that much power and say so going forward.
Yeah, I don't think it's a massive surprise that Moncur's left the board. You know, he still does the ambassador role. He still does his match days. He's obviously got his own suite, you know, where he has his guests and so on, does stuff for the foundation. So he's still a busy boy. You're just probably maybe the board just don't want someone who doesn't maybe doesn't know enough about business. Who knows what we could go on, we could speculate and so on and so on. But I actually think it's probably the more people that are not on the board, the better it is for Rafa Benitez that he has to deal with. Although I don't think he'll probably deal with Moncur directly, he deals with Charnley, doesn't he? Now, moving off that subject, Jermaine Janus, you know, after that Liverpool game over the weekend, obviously he came out on Twitter and hid behind the door, posted a photo in response to the Newcastle fans biting at him, claiming that when he was at Newcastle, you know, we picked him up from nowhere. He was a young kid, skinny lad. Bobby Robson picked him up from Nottingham Forest. It was about $5 million we paid for him. You know, he then said when he went to play for England, he was playing likes of Scholes and Lampard and Beckham and you name it, all these big name world class players. And then when he came back to Newcastle, he just felt demotivated. Now, for me, I think that's massively disrespectful to the likes of Gary Speed, Alan Shearer, Robbie, Nobby Solano, etc., Jonathan Woodgate, Shea Given. Bang out of order for me. What do you reckon, Fordey?
Yeah, I've said this. Well, we spoke about this before. I think in his defence, I think he's misquoted a little bit in terms of what he's trying to say. But overall, you can't be saying those things about the time that it was a very successful time, especially because we're still playing Champions League football. We still had really, very, very good players. And correct me if I'm wrong, he had his most amount of caps playing for Newcastle United opposed to the time when he went to Tottenham. So if anything, we did him a favour. So in his defence, on the other flip side of it, you know, obviously had the likes of Beckham, Scholes, all the other good players that he was playing with. So from them coming back to maybe some of our lesser players, maybe that's what he was trying to say. But definitely not the likes of Solano, Speed, Dyer, Shearer, Bellamy at the time, because those were top notch, and was finishing what, 4th and 5th during those times. So yeah, I think he's just done himself a disjustice there, because again, he was starting to get some credibility, especially from me as a pundit. I thought he was pretty good, but saying stuff like that, he's just done himself a disjustice, in my opinion.
It's crazy because he also says some good stuff this season. He thinks that if Rafa Benitez keeps Newcastle up, it's a miracle. So he just says some positive stuff, and looks like, fingers crossed, that we do stay. But most of his England caps were from Newcastle. And Sharky, I'll come back to you about Janus's comments. When he first came to the club, he wasn't even a regular because he had to try and get into the side. He was like substitute, then on the bench, starting bench, and so on and so on. But if you take out the likes of Lampard, Scholes, and Gerrard out of England, our centre midfield was pretty weak, and Janus, for me, only got on the England side because there wasn't any world-class players there. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Newcastle gave him his name for what he is now. He's playing with some world-class players, Alan Shearer, Gary Speed, so on and so on, playing regular Champions League football. And I can kind of understand where he's coming from. I mean, England, some of the players that are representing England, like your Scholes, your Beckhams, they're all playing for the likes of Man United, winning trophies, whereas Newcastle, there's a massive expectation. Yes, we're like a top 4 club, but maybe it's a little bit of saltiness that if you look back now, those players have won trophies, whereas at Newcastle, he hasn't really won anything. And you reckoned when he signed for Newcastle that he was going to win FA Cups, League Cups. We had some of the best players of our era, with a world-class manager, Sir Bobby Robson. Yeah, I can kind of understand, but I think it's a big disrespect towards, the club that made him, really. The fans that we have, the support that we gave him, the support that Bobby Robson gave him. And if it wasn't for Bobby Robson, playing for Newcastle and for the way we picked him up, he wouldn't have been representing England. But yeah, again, it all goes down to saltiness, if not winning anything, at Newcastle and pushing on, really, because after that, I don't think he really done a great deal.
Yeah, I don't think it was good enough to be an England regular starting week in, week out for England.
Totally agree.
Now we'll move off that and quickly we'll come over across to quite a big media build-up for the under-23s derby with Sunderland. We'll talk about the fans separately in a second. But, again, we'll cover the under-23s. I went down there. Massive crowd for Newcastle with double the amount of Sunderland's home support. No shock there, to be fair. Curtis Good, Cal Roberts both scored. Went extra time, hit the woodwork a couple of times. But although we don't have a time we had derby, so on, it's always nice to get one over them, isn't it, Fordey?
Oh, of course. I mean, I was watching it on Facebook at the time, and it's it's nice to have that sort of that in place, because obviously we're not going to play them for a while. Let's face it. The style of play though is just kind of that needs to change as well, because it's not the Rafa Benitez sort of way, and I think what Rafa wants to potentially do is kind of change the ethos of the club and how he plays from the first team down all the way down to obviously under 23s and all the rest of it now. Because once a player comes from the under 23s up to the first team, hopefully it won't be too much of a shock for him. So again, that was just interesting to see as well. But yeah, there was a few standout players. Was it Sangari?
Yeah,
he's a standout guy. And obviously, if you heard me and Lee's video earlier on this week about Victor Fernandez, he's definitely a standout guy for me. I really didn't know too much about him up until now, but he's definitely someone that I'm going to be watching out for in the future. But yeah, I think those two are the main two out of the under 23s to look out for, and obviously like the likes of Cal Roberts. But obviously, getting back to the main point is that great to have one up on obviously Sunderland, and obviously stop them talking about their 6 in a row.
Oh yeah, they always bring that up, don't they? No, don't get on to Sharky about Sunderland. Do you want to talk about them, Sharky, or do you want? Are we going to be here for 20 minutes?
Well, we could be here for 20 minutes, but yeah, let's just move on.
Right, okay. Let's talk about the fans. Obviously, I was there. The couple of idiots, kids at the back, decided to start ripping up some Sunderland seats. Now, depending on where you sit on this, you might laugh at that and think, right, that's immature. But to be honest, if that was at St James's Park, we would kick right off. We would go wild with it. I think it's bang out of order. There's a few idiots. There was about 14, 15 chairs ripped. But what was more alarming, they were chucking them above everybody's heads, just past kids and so on, just missing them, trying to hit the stewards. Newcastle have this reputation for the fans of being absolutely fantastic. We're sellouts. We're well behaved most of the time, but a bit of bad blood there, wasn't there, Fordey?
Yeah, it's just it's just annoying, really, because it's a couple of fans that have had to ruin it and tarnish the reputation for everyone else. Because Newcastle, despite not winning trophies and stuff for years upon years, we've always had the good reputation of being loyal fans. And there's been a few incidences, obviously, about punching a horse and stuff like that. But overall, I must say, as I said, we have a good reputation of being loyal fans and turn out week on week. You can look at the championship, for example. So for those guys to ruin it, and the manner of when they've done it as well. I mean, I've seen the guy that ripped up the seat and he's flipping baited himself out on flipping.
Oh, it's on the metro.
Yeah, do it. Listen, I'm not saying for anyone to do this sort of behaviour because I don't condone it at all. But if you're going to do it, don't bait yourself up on social media where it's like a badge of honour, like a badge of honour. Come on. Come on. And I'm saying again, just for people that listen, I'm not saying I condone this at all, but come on, have sense in the first place. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely crackers. Absolutely crackers. Sharky, what's your thoughts on the daft idiots ripping up the seats? Because let's be honest, if it happened to St. James's Park, what would we do? We would go off.
Oh, yeah. We'd just be the same. I mean, to be fair, the authorities couldn't say that it wasn't expected. Kids would have been having sugar, to the max, to the fact where, when they get to the ground, they're going to start a fight with them. Oh, you've only got, 100 fans. Oh, we're bringing a couple of thousand. Ha, ha, ha. But at the end of the day, I can kind of understand it's like a little mini rivalry, where, according to Wikipedia, we're never ever going to play them again, from what I've watched.
Oh, someone edited. Don't believe everything Wikipedia tells you. Right, we're going to stay on the fans, actually, with me as well, since we're on this subject as well. A lot of away fans do not like being right up the gods, and I can understand their frustration. We had that special 12 months dispensation from the Premier League and the FA, so then we had to move the away fans down to pitch side. First of all, I actually think that would actually be much better for the atmosphere of St. James's Park, because if you take the Gallagher out, it's a morgue. It's literally a morgue.
Yeah.
I honestly think if the away fans were down by each corner flag or one of the corner flags, that would have just hyped up. And I can understand safety, and the council have agreed, the police have agreed, and the FA and the Premier League have all said, yeah, you can keep them up there again. First of all, I think atmosphere would be so much better. And secondly, away fans do not like being all the way up there. What's your thoughts, Fordey?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but here's a funny thing. I think it should also be dependent on what type of fans that come to St. James's Park. That should be either up in the gods or down, obviously, with us as well, because the games that I've managed to get to this season, some of the fans have been awful, man. They've either got one chant or they just don't sing at all. So I'm like, are you guys here or what? Seriously. I think out of all the games I've been to this season, the best away fans have been Luton Town by far. Because even the last game I went to, no disrespect to Southampton, but they only had one chant, and that's the most
predictable. Go marching on.
There you go. It's the most predictable one that they've got. And obviously they haven't got much to shout about, but we were down there at the same time, and we were singing our heads off as well. So that's my little 2 cents in there. It should be all dependent on what sort of ruckus, what sort of game it is going to be. If it's a Band A sort of game against Man United, by all means, chuck them down there. I want to hear the rivalry, but I want to hear the noise and stuff like that to make it a better atmosphere. If it's going to be one of those games where they're not going to make much noise anyway, we might as well be up there, out of the way in the corner. I know it's a bit out of order, but again, if you're not going to chant, if you're not going to make any noise, unless your team's winning, then what's the point of you being down there?
Sharky, what's your thoughts on it? Do you think it'll help the atmosphere if the were brought down?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, you look at the Gallagher, yeah, there's all the noise, brilliant. Milburn, dead. East Stand, dead. Leazer's dead. Like Fordey was saying, it depends on the team that come up, with the loudest fans. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit more atmosphere. You have a little pocket, maybe in level 7, the family section, but they don't really sing for long. But if you bring them down, to the bottom of the Leazers, behind the goal, it's going to create an atmosphere around the ground. Then that would encourage, the Milburn, and encourage the East Stand and to maybe sing a bit more. Then, it just adds to a better atmosphere. I mean, didn't get us wrong, I love our fans, but we're just too quiet, and maybe that's another factor to why we're not doing so well at home. Maybe it's the players are not feeling, up to it. Maybe it's because they're on edge a little bit, because if something goes wrong, we end up conceding the goal and losing the game. That's just another factor. But overall, I think you've got to give the away fans the option to sit down the bottom, because at the end of the day, it's expensive to come to Newcastle from where you're going. Imagine if you were like a Bournemouth fan, a Southampton fan, or a Brighton fan, for example, Crystal Palace fan. And you pay all that money, you've got to pay for your travel just to be chucked up there. I mean, if I was a Rotherham fan, I wouldn't like that.
Well, we've got to travel the most distance in the whole of the Premier League, our away fans, and we're quite lucky, except from Old Trafford, was a really, really down side. So we're quite lucky in that sense. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, let us know on that. Now we're going to come off that, and then we came up towards the Southampton game. Before we do that, no, we'll talk about Slimani later on. Newcastle 3, Southampton 0. Pretty easy, really comfortable afternoon. I was very surprised. Let's begin there. Sharkey, how poor was Southampton?
They were really poor. I mean, Pellegrino's been under pressure for so long of this season. For me, Southampton are one of the surprise packages, to where they are on the Premier League table. Being that relegation zone or just above it, is quite alarming, really. And that's what happens when when you sell your better players and then you buy crap in return. And that's what they've done, and that's what happens on the pitch. And obviously now they've got Marcus, but in terms of the performance, it was important that we won this game, to back up the win against Manchester United at home. And we're starting to pick up a little bit more confidence at home. And your bread and butter, are your home games. And it was a really big confidence and win. We could have won by more. Really, Southampton were that poor. I mean that Hoyvie. Wow.
Kennedy got a couple there, Fordey. A great game for him, eh?
Yeah, we absolutely bossed it, man, from start to finish. That is by far the best performance that we put in. Well, yeah. Hold on. I had to pump the brakes there. I forgot about Man United.
West Ham?
Top 3, definitely the best we played all season.
Well, not many this season, to be fair.
Yeah, no, there's a few, because obviously the Man United game, there is the West Ham game that we won 3-0. That's got to be up there as well. Yeah. But again, Southampton were terrible, and obviously there's no surprise that Pellegrino lost his job after that game. But yeah, Kennedy, oh my God, what a start we got off to. That goal as well, that first one. In fact,
quality.
Both goals as well.
All three.
All three, but I'm talking about Kennedy in general, just like had an absolute stormer. And definitely the asking price now is definitely going to go up a couple million after that game. If it was at like 10 or 12 million, it's definitely gone up to 15 by far. And even that's still a bargain, in my opinion, because if we paid 12 for Jacob Murphy, then 50 million for Kennedy is an absolute steal.
Yeah, Matt Ritchie scoring yet again. Obviously scored in the friendly, which we'll talk about in a moment. So it's nice to see Ritchie come out of form. Everyone was talking about, we've got to get 6 points. We've got to get 6 points. We've got 3 of them. That's the job half done. Is that right, Sharky?
That's right. Every game is going to be tough between now and the end of the season. If you're playing teams at the bottom end of the league where we are, it's going to be tougher than maybe playing the top 6 because, the Premier League money is high. And we're getting to the business end of the season where, any mistake could be costly, and we're all know that under Steve McLaren when we're sacked in too late. And obviously Benitez, he tried, and, we didn't have enough games to save ourselves. But I think we're in a better situation now than what we were 2 years ago. You can see the stabilisation that Rafa Benitez is instilling into the squad. Huddersfield next at home, that'll be a really tough game because they've just lost, against Crystal Palace, another relegation rival, and again another promotion team that came up with us last season. And fair play to them, they've had a really good season, by their standards, and there'll be no pushovers. The beat were at the start of the season. I was down there, and I think similar to Southampton, we've got to get on the front foot.
And Fordey, sorry. The break again. We've got 3 weeks without any game. It's come at the wrong time once more, isn't it?
Yeah, it's annoying that we've just come off the back of a really, really positive win. We've got a team that's in and around us looking to obviously gain points on us as well. So it would have been nice to kind of have that momentum over them. But it's nothing we can do really. And obviously Rafa made the right choice going to Spain, trying to keep the morale high, trying to keep the fitness levels high as well. But again, as I said, it's nothing we can do really. It just seems to bite us on the backside every single time that we think we're getting ahead of the game or, getting the momentum up, that, it comes to a grinding halt. And hopefully we can come out of this international period in terms of players unscathed and everyone back ready, obviously, for the fight against Huddersfield.
Okay, right. So we'll move off that. A couple more subjects to go. Just shortly after that, Gareth Southgate was going to name his England side. And there was this, I thought Jamal Lascelles and John Joe Shelby, in particular Lascelles, had a real good opportunity. You know, for me, I generally think both of them won't go to the World Cup now because they haven't been called up. But what's more alarming is seeing the people who are there. You know, Jake Liverpool midfield, Cook, Mawson. I can understand why Tarkowski's there, but if you take Tarkowski, you've got to take Ben Mee as well because those two go together. But the big one is Lascelles not being in that side. Sharky, he deserves that, doesn't he?
He does. I really feel for the lad. You know, he's really come on leaps and bounds. You know, since Rafa Benitez has been manager, you know, he's been turned from a young player to a man. Really, you know, he's a real captain. He's a real leader. He's had a really good season. You know, and he leads by example. You know, he shouts and he's not scared to put a challenge in. And I felt that this was his great opportunity to at least play in the friendlies. And Gareth Southgate can see what he's about. And okay, maybe he plays in the friendlies and he's not good enough, and you know. That's fair enough. You know, at least he's had a little look in, and then he could prepare for the Euros where he'll have a better chance. But the fact he's not really been given a look in, I find it really disappointing. And, you know, you bring up like Jake Livermore. I find it really baffling. James Tauskov. James Tauskov? Anyway, I can't quite say his name. I think I'm going to stop. I'm going to butcher it. But I can see why he's taken him. You know, Burnley this season have had a fantastic season, and he's probably on par with Jamal Lascelles. If not, Jamal Lascelles is probably better, but he's chosen him. Yeah, Ben Mee, I would, you know, you've got to take him alongside, you know, his fellow countryman, but it's Gareth Southgate. I mean, I've never really rated Gareth Southgate as a manager, and I don't think we're going to do well at the World Cup either.
Same old, isn't it? 40 Newcastle players getting overlooked.
Yeah, same all the time, mate. I mean, the last time a player got called up was Jack Colback a couple of years back, and he didn't even get a game.
Townsend,
yeah.
Before he buggered off.
Yeah. I mean, does Southgate even look past Manchester in terms of players? I don't know. You know, as I said, you know, if you've got the likes of Mawson in there, you've got to have the likes of Lascelles in there.
You've got to look at him, haven't you? At least.
You've got to have a look at him. At least have a look at him. You know, he's playing in, let's face it, a team that's struggling, and he's been consistent ever since he's been back in the side under a manager that he can know he can progress under. So he knows he's going to be better than or on par with the likes of at least a Mawson, if not better. So that just baffles me. But again, their loss is our gain. You know, who knows? He could have been playing against the likes of Italy and Netherlands and got injured. So again, at least we don't have the risk of losing our captain or our key midfielder. So again, it's one of those things that probably does work in our favour now.
It does, yeah. At least that's a positive. At least we won't get injuries. And it's a shame that they're not going to be at least getting especially Lascelles having just a look in and train with the squad. But anyhow, both Lascelles and Shelby found out whilst we were out in Spain. You know, we went out to Spain for a 4-day camp, you know, down near Murcia. Before we get on to that, Slimani was ruled out once more not being fit, but getting called up by Algeria. He is really turning into this, you know, people are calling him the new Michael Owen. Dumbia's another one. I mean, Sharky, what is going on with Slimani?
I said it in January and I'll say it again. It's the most pointless signing of the season. I mean, he's not going to offer anything. He'll probably play one game like Dumbia did for about 10 minutes, and that's his contract up, and he's going back to Everton.
Leicester.
Yeah. Sorry?
Leicester.
Leicester. I don't understand. I mean, if you don't play a game for Newcastle and you don't represent Newcastle, how can you play for Algeria? I mean, the only thing I can take from that is maybe there's deep players, but then again, you know, you've got to be match fit, and I don't get it. You know, he's not played a single minute for us. I don't think he's probably any better than our forwards, if I'm honest with you. I mean, yes, okay, that he maybe holds the ball a bit better. Yeah, he might be able to score from inside the box, but then again, Mitrovic, you know, you could probably keep Mitrovic in Newcastle and see him out at the end of the season. I don't honestly.
You're not a fan of Mitrovic either, and he's banging in the goals left, right, and centre, isn't he?
Well, he's found his level. You know, he's a championship striker. That's what he is, and I've said that all along. You know, I don't dislike the guy. I just don't think he's good enough for Newcastle. I don't think he fits our formation. Yeah, good luck to him at Fulham. You know, I think Fulham will probably end up buying him whether they go up or not. Yeah, it's one of those where if he goes back to Leicester, and even if he does well between now and the end of the season, good luck, because I don't think he's really what we want. But I suppose, you know, we pushed the panic button. You know, we needed somebody. You know, we've been called out for a striker all January. We didn't get the a Redwood signing, and yeah, what of that?
That's the thing, isn't it? 40. what you had to get someone in at least, because two strikers isn't enough, isn't it? And you missed out on Jorgensen, you missed out on Sturridge. Slimani's probably third or fourth on that list. You had to get him in at least, didn't he?
Yeah, he had to get someone in. I don't think he was at the top of his list well, we obviously do know, obviously, with the fact that he wanted to go for Jorgensen as well. But going back to, in fact, one thing I did miss out on with the Shelby and Lascelles thing, I hope that's not a sign of them getting put off by having to move club, because the fact that they don't think that they can get picked up from the England squad because they're playing for Newcastle United. That's something else that I just wanted to add in as well.
Non-existent FC.
Well, exactly. That's what it looks like at the moment, because they might see it as I might have to move to a bigger club in order to progress my England career, especially Lascelles. He looks like he's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a very ambitious player.
Ambitious, yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that's not the case. But yeah, sorry, got sidetracked there. Going back to Slimani, had to bring someone in. It's a bit annoying that he's not made it, not even played a game yet. But again, at least the Algeria coach said that he's not going to play now during this friendly period, because if he's not playing for his team, then he shouldn't be playing for his country. So obviously some sort of reckoning has come there between obviously Newcastle and obviously Algeria. So at least that's something that we don't need to worry about. And hopefully he can play a part against Huddersfield, because as you said, Sharky, there's no point in being there.
Yeah, you're right.
No.
Interesting. What do you reckon? Fordey, I'll come straight back to you, and Sharky, I'll come to you in a second. Was it right to take the squad to Spain, or should we play like a local friend, like a Hartlepool, to help them out?
You could argue both, really. I think it was right to go to Spain and play the team that we played, because yes, we could be seen as the charitable club and helping out. Obviously, Hartlepool, they're in dire need of some money. In fact, they've managed to sort their stuff out, so they're okay now. But at the same time, we need to worry about us and the here and now. So again, we needed to play someone of some sort of quality opposition to maintain the fitness levels and make sure that we still stay on track. Because as you said before, the breaks come at the wrong time. We've won a game. We're at higher momentum, so we need to kind of maintain what we've got going. And I don't think we would have done that against the likes of a Hartlepool or a local club like Gateshead. Yeah,
I think it's good environment, bonding as well. Sharky, obviously, what did you make of these 3 45-minute spells? It's really bizarre, isn't it?
It's very strange. It's like a FIFA game, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, I can understand. I mean, it gives everybody a chance, to get game time. Especially some of the fringe players, that can't make it in the Premiership, the likes of Haidara. We've seen Hawker in goal, didn't we, for a little bit, and it's given everyone that chance to impress between now and the end of the season, because, like I was saying before, it's the business end of the season. Everybody's going to want to try and make a difference between now and the end of the season. Try and get into Rafa's first team, because we all know how stubborn Rafa Benitez is. You make a mistake, you're out of the team for a bit, and he'll bring somebody else in. And again, we would have won the game over 90 minutes, but I think the overall the result doesn't really matter too much. It's all about just getting that game time, because of the 3-week period, and coming back unscathed. Well, I say that I heard Lejeune was potentially out. I was hearing over the week.
Did anyone impress you, Fordey?
You know who impressed me.
Go on,
Fernandez. He's our man now. I'm sharing him. Now, I think in the third period, I think we had the better team out. The likes of Yedlin and Fernandez linking up on the right-hand side was a sight to behold, because I've not seen that all season, really. Yes, Richie's our standout winger, but again, he's not a player to beat a player, is he? He's not going to outpace a player or beat him with skill. So it's nice to see Victor Fernandez having just a no-holds-barred attitude and just going for it, really, and Yedlin overlapping him, and they just worked well together. And obviously the usual suspects, Richie and Shelby, did well in the first period, but definitely out of all the ones that you didn't expect to kind of impress you, it would definitely be Victor Fernandez by a country mile.
Yeah, the reason why I didn't ask you, Sharky, that because obviously you know about him. So, it was a bit of a strange one, then, having 3 45 minutes, but the lads will come back now. I know, Fordey, you want to bring up the Everton fixture being moved, don't you?
Well, yeah, like I said at the start of the podcast, it's just annoying that you get a month's notice. So all the people coming from abroad or different parts of the country, or just from Newcastle in general, having to book train tickets and hotels in advance, for them to be told, nah, it's moving to the Monday now. So yes, you might get a refund on your ticket, but you've probably forked out twice as much or 3 times as much on the hotel and train tickets alone. So I think this is a chance where Everton and Newcastle in general have to really chip in now and say, look, to compensate, we can either put in free travel for you or free accommodation for you or something along those lines, just to compensate for your loss, because it's just not on. It's just like the clubs are not thinking about the fans, and the fans are the most important part of both clubs. Both clubs are really kind of fan orientated, so I really think they should be thinking about the fans in this situation here.
I have to say that at the club, looking from the Chronicles reports today, that the club were asked about it first and they've accepted it. They could have said no, but they'll pocket 1.1 million for switching the game on Monday. But I have to say the fans need to look after first, Sharky, don't they?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, that's TV for you, I mean, a lot of games now are on TV than it ever used to be. And yeah, like Fordey was saying, the fans have, forked out the hard-earned money, to pay for tickets, travel, accommodation. And a lot of them are going to be put off. They're going to be disappointed. And that will, again, drop attendances, for the away game at Everton, because no doubt Newcastle would take 2,500, 3,000 for, the original fixture, which I think was on this at the Saturday night.
Saturday daytime, man.
Oh, sorry, Saturday daytime. And then obviously for a Monday night, a lot of people are at work. A lot of people have got, kids and families to look after and whatnot. And
you're not going to get back till 3, 4 in the morning. Then you've got to get up for work again.
It's tough, but I think you expect nothing less from these TV companies. That's what they do. That's how they make the money. And we all know that Newcastle fans, regardless, will travel in the numbers. That's what they did. Burnley away. Stoke City. Okay, that wasn't on TV, but even on New Year's Day when there's not much on in terms of transport, they know that Newcastle have got a loyal following, and if they know you've got a loyal following and they're going to make money, that's what it is. It's all about money, isn't it? It's all about making more and getting the bigger clubs on TV more.
Yeah, I think you've got to also say that the club, remember, accepted the offer to have more money. It wasn't just a media thing as well. Right, we're going to wrap up them. So obviously this podcast, if you are listening on iTunes, is up on YouTube, and also on SoundCloud. And if you're doing the reverse, if you are on YouTube, you can download this free. We don't charge for none of our podcasts. Fordey, you're going to start doing some uploading on your channel?
I might do if time goes by. What are you laughing at, Sharky, man?
No, Fordey, I love the content. It's just Lee, the way you put it across.
Yeah, I'll let Lee off for that one. But yeah, I'll probably get into it sooner rather than later. But
where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter ranting about Newcastle, especially.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So it's Ford Have Mercy, yeah. Ford Have Mercy on YouTube or across social media. You'll find Fordey. Of course, Sharky is one of us. You'll find him on Newcastle Fans TV when he decides to pop on. Isn't that right, Sharky? But
I'll be on a lot more now. The games are coming fast now. Come on, we've had more holidays. We've had games this season. Jeez.
But where can people find you once every couple of days? Where can people find you though?
He's taking a mic, isn't he?
He's going to promote your channel. That's what I'm trying to get at.
No, he's
right. You can find us at 100% NUFC. I regularly upload. Obviously, do match previews, reviews, all of that. It's all there for you to go and check out. And yeah, I'm on Twitter as well at 100% NUFC. Also on Instagram, on there as well. Obviously on Newcastle Fans TV with Lee. I will be on a lot more, doing a lot more videos for you, Lee. So don't worry about that. The football's coming back, so don't you worry about that. Fordey, want you back on again, man? Miss content.
And I've already get uploading. I'm going to put both links for each individual channel. Sharky's is always in every video anyways, but I'll stick Fordey's in as well. And yeah, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of the podcast, and we shall see you all later.